Hi guys, welcome to Making with Marilyn. On today's video, we're going to do a quick little project involving a Christmas towel and a Christmas pot holder. Now the towel I purchased at Hobby Lobby. The list price is $5.99, but I get everything 40% to 50% off. I never buy hardly ever anything full price, and I know I got this at least 40% off, so that'd bring it down to about $4. And then the pot holders, you get 2 of them from the Dollar Tree for $1. I will be using some Caesar red HTV on the towel, and then I'll be using the black sheet of the Cricut Infusible Ink that I have left from this package on the red pot holder. I'll use my Cricut Maker to cut the infusible ink and the HTV, and I'll use my Cricut Easy Press 2 to heat press both items on. In addition to those, I'll use my standard grip mat. I'll use a piece of butcher paper. I'll use my tape measure because I can't find my ruler. I have my weeding tool for the HTV. For the infusible ink, you'll see you really don't need that. I have my heat resistant tape for my I have my heat resistant tape for my infusible ink. I have some scissors, and I have a brayer for my HTV. I'll be using Cricut Design Space on my computer, and I think that's it. So let's get into Design Space. I am putting just a deer head on both of these items. It's the same deer head, but I'll be doing different sizes. So we'll get into Design Space, show you what we're doing, and then we'll be back to actually do the cutting and the heat pressing. I'm in Cricut Design Space, and I want to upload a picture that I saved to my desktop. So I click Upload Image, Browse, and this is the picture right here that I want. It's a very bold picture, so simple will be fine. I tend to use moderately complex on this one. It's really not going to matter so much. So moderately complex, continue, and then I just need to click on what I want to go away. And when you see the blue and white background, that's transparent. That's all there is to it. So I'll click continue. I want to save this as a cut file, and I'm just going to call it, whoops, deer head. Whoa, go back. Okay, deer head. So I'll save that, and then I'll go ahead and insert that. Now I'm going to be putting the same image on my towel and my pot holder, but it's going to be 2 different sizes. So I'm going to go ahead and make it 2 different sizes on my screen. To keep it from wanting to cut at the same time, I need to change one of the colors. So I am going to change this to red. I will be cutting red out for my black and white towel, and then I will be cutting black infusible ink out for my pot holder. For my towel, it can be about 8 inches tall. So let me see what would happen if I make that 8 inches tall. So right here, you can just put in the height that you want and click it. So if I do 8 inches tall, it's 6.2 wide and 8 inches tall. So let me measure that real quick. 0.2, 8 inches tall. That's pretty tall. Let me go ahead and make that 7 inches tall. Okay, so now you can see it's 7 inches tall by 5.441 wide, and I think that looks good. So that's going to be my deer head for my black and white towel. And then on the pot holder, I'm going to go with 4.5 tall. And I'm just going to check my pot holder real quick. 4.5 tall, that makes it almost 3.5 wide. I think that looks good. So we're going to go with these sizes. So what I'll do is I'll click Make It. And the first thing I'm going to cut is my red HTV to put on my black towel, and then I'll do my black infusible ink for my red pot holder. Now, I always mirror, even though in this case it really doesn't matter. And I'll go ahead and mirror the Infusible Ink image. Again, in this case it really doesn't matter, but to me it is a great habit to get into. I'll click continue. Okay, I'm going to have to get set up before it will let me continue because it's telling me that no devices found. I don't have it hooked up yet. So let me go ahead and get set up and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I have my materials all gathered. Let me move these out of the way a little bit. The first layer that I'm going to cut is my red HTV. So I've selected it and I'm going to just use Everyday Iron-On. Now, iron-on always goes with the carrier sheet down. Usually the carrier sheet is the shiny sheet, but sometimes it's hard to tell. Okay, so it's not real straight, but it's perfectly fine. My machine is prompting me to load my material. Now I want to make sure that I don't have any fuzzies or anything on my blade, so I push it out and just make sure. That looks good. And now it's prompting me to go ahead and send it. So I'll unload that. Turn my mat over so I can take it off of my material, holding my material as flat as I can. Now I want to have as little waste as possible. I can see, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but I can see exactly where the deer head is. So I'm just going to cut around the deer head. And I tend to keep some pretty small scraps. They come in handy for when you're putting HTV on smaller items or putting smaller items on things like tennis shoes. Okay, so I'll roll this up. I want to show you something I did the other day. I took the time to go through all of my vinyl that I had actually opened, and I made these labels for each of the different types that I have. And so I'm going to keep these labels on my different types of vinyl so that I can just refer back to it and I can see it's iron-on. I want to preheat 2 to 3 seconds. And for the Easy Weed Stretch, which is what I'm using in the red, I will press it at 305 for 10 to 15 seconds, and then you can peel it hot or cold. So I think that's a nice way to keep track instead of looking it up each time. So we'll weed this. I just want to pull up on a corner. And I find the HTV weeds really easily, so let's hope that's the case here. And it did. That's super easy. So that will go down on my towel and it will look something like that. I think that's really super cute. Okay, we'll set that aside. Let me get my infusible ink out. Now, I will admit that I'm a little more intimidated by infusible ink. I just haven't used it that many times. I've only used it maybe 4 or 5 times. This is a black sheet that's left in my 2-sheet pack. Okay, so the infusible ink, your carrier sheet is the shiny side. Your ink is this side, and that may look brown on the camera. It really is, it'll be black when it gets done. The infusible ink, these are really, I don't know, these carrier sheets are very strong and they tend to want to roll back up. So you have to be patient. Also, you want to be careful that you don't scratch it. It does scratch fairly easily. And you don't want to put your hands on it too much. The oil on your hands, they say, can cause problems. So let me get up here to my black design. Again, it's the same thing. It's just a smaller version of it. Now, right now I'm set on everyday iron on. So it says that right here. I'm going to click on that. And now here is infusible ink on a transfer sheet. So I'll go ahead and load my material. And we're ready to cut. I unload this the same way, but I want to be sure that I don't scratch it along the table and get scratches in the infusible ink itself. And it cut all the way through. That's okay. Okay, so you are supposed to simply, they say simply, remove the material that you don't need. So hopefully you can see the outline of the deer head. I'm just going to kind of fold it and hope that some I don't want pops up. And it did. So now I should just be able to pull around and take a lot of that off. Okay, so there's our design. And it will be black, but it will go right there. So let me get my Easy Press set up and I'll be right back. Okay, so we need to go ahead and turn on our Easy Press 2, and I want the temperature to be 305 degrees. So you press the temperature thing. 300 is what I used last time, so I just have to increase that up to 305. Okay, so I want to find the approximate center of my towel. And it's right on this seam right here. I'm going to set this here just to help me remember where the center is. Okay, I want to preheat this. And I want to preheat it for at least 2 to 3 seconds, but 5 is okay too, as long as your fabric is something that's not going to burn. Now I'm going to let that cool off just a little bit before I put my material down on it. Okay, so I want to find the center of my design, so I'm going to put the two sides together and then just kind of pinch it to show me where the center is. So I feel like the center of the bottom is on the line that I feel is the center, and then the top is about centered. I'm just going to double check myself. From the side of the head to the edge is about 8 inches, and over there it's about 8 inches, so I think that looks fine. I think I might move it down just a tiny bit. Okay, so I have my easy press mat underneath my design. Per the instructions, I'm going to heat this at 305 for 10 to 15 seconds. I'll probably go ahead and do 10 seconds to begin with. I'll remove the carrier sheet. I'll put a sheet of Teflon paper over it, and I'll go ahead and do it for about 10 more seconds. I started at 15, so I'll go ahead and take this off at 5. And then this is a hot or cold peel, so I can go ahead and peel it off. That's staying just fine. I'm going to cover over it with my Teflon sheet and do it for about 10 more seconds. Okay, that is so cute. Hopefully you can see that really well. I just love that. Very, very pretty. Okay, so for now I'll just fold that up, set that aside. Now, for my infusible ink, I need to change my heat settings to 385. And I'm going to heat it for 40 seconds. So I want to change my timer also. I'll let that heat up and I'll be back when it does. Okay, we're going to pre-press this for 15 seconds, and sometimes red fabrics do weird things. So I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of white cardstock under it. Press that for 15 seconds, so I'll stop it at 25. Now we're going to let that cool off because I don't want to set my infusible ink down and it be hot and it starts infusing before I really have it set where I want it. Okay, I think that's good. Now, my Cricut Easy Press is very large, and I want the inside of this to be higher than these seams are because the bulk of the seams could interfere with how well it presses. So I'm going to put these under the mat. You can see that it fits within the seams of that. So I'll put those under my mat. I don't know that this is necessary, but I tend to do it. Then they want you to put a piece of cardstock under what you're doing just to protect your mat from anything coming through. Now I need to figure out where those blocks are. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to find the center of my design, and I'm really going to just kind of eyeball this. Okay, I think that looks fine. Now, the first thing that I ever did with Infusible ink, I did not tape it down, and I really felt like it shifted a little bit when I set my Easy Press down on it. So I'm going to use a couple of pieces of this heat-resistant tape. Okay, this is the butcher paper that they provide for us. So you just set that over your project. And you start. Now, because I have some bulk to this item and the seams, you know, there's threads going in diagonal lines, I'm going to put quite a bit of pressure down so that I can get as much ink down into those areas where there's thread. We're going to let that cool down. Okay, also notice that butcher paper now has red ink stains on it or dye stains on it, so that needs to be thrown away. I did forget to use my lint roller. Hopefully everything will be fine. I have forgotten before and everything was fine. That looks very good. Now here's what I was talking about. Hopefully you can see in this where you have the diagonal lines of thread. Those are pulled down some, so your infusible ink doesn't get as much pressure against those. So you can see that did not infuse as well, but you can see it looks great. That's not a problem at all. So here's my cute little set, and I was only going to do one of the pot holders, but when I recorded myself doing the first pot holder, I didn't have my microphone on, so I went ahead and did a second. You usually need 2 at a time anyway, right? So there you go. Super, super cute. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comments section. And if you'd like to watch what I'll be doing in the future, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. I'm Marilyn. Bye-bye.